Spec Tore, press your buttons. Press your buttons, I'm ready.
We're gonna do the zoom in. Like
Okay. It's like the main. Yeah, you got.
The boys had always talked about wanting to work with Mr. Spec Tore, mostly because of his legendary status in pop music. The boys always felt like their music was a little bit too small. Billy specifically had a large desire to make pop on a grand scale, and they felt as if Spec Tore could really give them that touch.
There needs to be someone to collect the sound and press the buttons, and they don't know how to press the buttons. There's buttons, and there's sounds, and there's Wagner, and there's Wagner, and there's strings. And without Wagner, the strings are just noise. Something like that, you know. Simple, you know, it's like rock and roll. You know, I kind of invented this sound, you know, like, you know, that kind of whole, you know, I kind of started with Chinese rocks, and I just started playing guitar one day, and I just noticed how some chords just really went together well, you know.
I was hanging out with Billy, and he said, hey, let's go get some hot dogs. I was like, okay, let's go get some hot dogs. So we went out to get some hot dogs, and there he is. And then he said, I want to help you guys out, I want to record you. I'm going to record you. So we said, alright, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for all of your help and consideration. And then we just kept eating our hot dogs.
You know, Mick Jones, you know, I never met him. On November 4th, 1979, the RaMonets, their manager Louis DeMario, and Spec Tore flew on a private jet to a remote village on the coast of Wales. There they toiled relentlessly in a converted sheep hut while under the strict supervision of Spec Tore and his domineering Whigs.
We had to find this shack in the middle of Wales to record the song, the bass part. Traveled all the way over by airplane. I don't know where the rest of the group is.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So I'm trying to play, I'm trying to practice The guy leaves his wig here.
Spec Tore left his wig here. Hey guys, stop. You stop that. You stop that.
You ain't doing
Do
it
it
right.
again. You're not.
Play the first chord for 12 hours.
Play the first chord for 12 hours.
I won't say that being the manager of the RaMonets was the easiest thing in the world, but our interests met together sometimes, and that was nice. Spec Tore was very interesting because, of course, he came from the world of pop music, specifically grand pop on a large scale, whereas the RaMonets, small pop, small punk pop on a very small scale. And when these worlds met, I can't say it was something I wanted to do, but the boys were really interested in it, and we gave it a shot.
Rock and roll radio! Let's go! Rock and roll radio!
You know, just something basic like that, you know, like, and you just transition from one to the other, and you just let it go. It's solid.
Do you wanna dance? Do you wanna dance?
You see how it flows kind of like that? It's natural like that. You just power through it, and it's a lot. I feel like a lot of people are kind of trying to do that now. Play these chords, the same kind of chords, the same kind of way that I'm doing. I'm kind of leading the band with writing the songs like that.
Oh,
And
let's go.
you know,
Let's go.
you just do it.
Let's go. You're falling in a straight line. You're going through a tight one. You keep the listen that mind. Let's creep up.
You know, it's like T-Rex, Janice, you know. They all did it. The band, Jimmy. You just do it. My rhythm is what's correct.
Hey, come on. I want to have some fun. I want some pizza. I can't have
Play it again,
pizza.
then you get your pizza.
Where's Larry?
So, in retrospect, I'd have to say that the one big incident that really made me think that this project wasn't going to be as life-shattering as everybody thought going into it was when Spec Tore, he'd had his wash bin for about 2 weeks, and it was getting pretty rank looking. He had his engineer assistant make water balloons of the nasty chlorine water in that tub. There were about 20 by the end of the day, and the tub was empty. The RaMonet boys had no idea this was happening, for they were usually just sitting waiting for Phil to tell them to do something weird. But at some point, when Phil felt that their performance of a particular number was not up to par, he opened the door and started launching these water balloons at them. The first one hit Billy in the chest, and he didn't even move because he didn't understand what was going on. Bobby had to tackle him, knock him to the ground to let him know that this was not something that happens all the time, and that water smelled terrible. It brings a smile to my face now, only in memory, because at the time it was very devastating for Billy, because he got a very unfortunate eye infection from one of the water balloons that hit him, and the bacterium inside him really did a number on his cornea.
Spec Tore, he had this water basin that he kept with chlorinated water in it, and he always had to have a part of his body in it. And one day he, I guess he just got fed up of us because we weren't playing the chords right, and Billy was trying to play the chords like the way Spec Tore wanted it, but he just kept on getting mad, locking us in the studio, and so he ended up draining the fluid from his water basin that was all disgusting of his elbow grease and all that, and he put it into water balloons and started throwing them at Billy, and Billy didn't know what to do, and so it got him real good right in the eye there, and he got an infection.
Well, Billy and Bobby were at that time, they were very focused on the work at hand. They had a selection of 14 to 18 songs that they really wanted to put on the record. But for some reason, Spec Tore really thought that the record should only have 8 songs, even though the songs were only about 2 minutes each. So that's where the first conflicts began. And for whatever reason, Spec Tore felt that at this point in his life, his cleanliness of his body was not up to par, so he installed a small wash bin in the recording studio, which he felt the need to always have part of his body in, maybe just a hand, but that was enough, and there was chlorine in the pool. I can't say this really affected his performance as a producer, but it had to affect the psychology of what was happening at the time. The RaMonets noticed this, they mentioned it to me, it was not up for debate, according to Spec Tore. Nonetheless, the RaMonets brought in really good quality songs to the proceedings. Spec Tore, however, tried his best to make them sound nothing like the RaMonets wanted them to. He employed such strategies as recording the guitar track, transcribing it to a violin track, and then playing it backwards at the start of a different song. And I didn't really understand why he was taking such an avant-garde approach, but he sure was. And needless to say, Billy and Bobby were not really that into the idea at the end of the day.
You know, that's how it goes. When you're playing, you don't even think about the guitar. You just think about what you're trying to think about. Oh, as far as the wall of sound goes, there's button pressers and there's people who play with sounds. And these kids aren't either. They're just dilly-dallying around on my time. And I'm the button presser. I collect the sound.
No, stop, stop. You're not doing it right. No, you're not strumming it right. You're not strumming it right.
You know, it's not some dissertation. That's from the soul. That's from the gut. You can't make that up. You know, there's strings and there's Wagner and there's orchestra of sound, people to press the buttons. These kids don't press buttons. They dilly-dally with my time, and the buttons are just in the air. They're just fabrications of their little puny imaginations, where I'm trying to build masterpieces. And that's something this world might never understand.
It's the end of the